Welcome to the Into Awards 2024. I'm very hyped that you're all here and we're jumping right in. Welcome everybody. Has been a interesting streaming year and we're gonna recap what we did in the year. Well, we're gonna recap not everything, we're gonna recap the best, the worst, and a few other things. So let's go right away. Number 15 of the best games we've played in 2024 is Pikmin 3 Deluxe for the Switch. A great game, a really fun game, and also a little bit of a comfy game. So we had a lot of fun playing this game. It was at time a little bit confusing, right? We suddenly were at the final boss. We didn't know, is that the final boss? Is not the final boss? Then the game ended. We were a little confused, but recapping everything and going for extra content after beating the game was actually very, very fun. And there's actually a little more modes. There's a lot of challenge modes. There's a lot of, let's say, boss rushes, extra things. There's a seemingly a mode that recaps what happened in the previous games in Pikmin 1 and so on. So there's a lot of content. It's a really comfy game. It runs really smoothly on the Switch. It's a great game. I recommend everybody checking it out, but it is not perfect. That's why it's place 15, for example. Typical thing that was weird was this end boss thing. It was not clear, do we have to do the fruits? Do we have to do the spaceship key? Or do we have to do, I don't know, something else? We got the blue Pikmin at the very end of the game. Why not earlier? There were a few questions that we were not clear, but well, it is what it is. It's place 15 and it's a lot of fun. And this is not pre-recorded, by the way. This is live, as it says in the description. Welcome, Kali. And Mana, all day paddle, everybody who is here, good to see you. Let's move to place 14 today. Place 14, best game is Resident Evil 2 Remake. A really, really, really good game based off a really, really, really good game. So the original Resident Evil 2 is a great game and so is the remake. This is a really fun game. This is also a really new game if you play Resident Evil. It has a lot of new features, not just the typical camera that has been introduced with Resident Evil 4 in the original version, but also things like the zombies don't die with the regular health pool after like 1, 2, 3 hits or something. You basically have to remove the heads and so on. It has a little few features. At the beginning it might be a little strange. Also, keeping zombies alive, I think, is more difficult than in the original, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great game. There's a lot of extra modes that you can play, right? There's the bonus missions. So, of course, there's also the Leon A, Leon B, Claire A, Claire B thing. So, tons of modes. Great game. Highly recommended. So, yeah, I think everybody should check this game out, and I think a lot of people have already checked this game out. So, great game. You see, little controversies already started. Excellent. We're going to place number 13. Place number 13 is nothing else than F-Zero 99. A game that I think everybody likes. Even though the people that don't like it, they still like it. They just don't know yet. So F-Zero 99 is a really, really fun game. It is basically one of the best things that Nintendo has done in the last years. They took a game that is from the Super Nintendo that people loved, then they refreshed it, not just with, you know, running it via a cheap emulator, but no, this game is running super smooth in high resolution and is really fun to play. And they give it to you for free if you have the online subscription, so everybody can access it. 99 players are possible at once. And what is also great and what is untypical for Nintendo, in my opinion, is they keep coming back to the game. They're bringing updates, they're bringing new tracks, they're bringing new events, they're bringing new skins for the racers, new symbols, whatever. They're doing a lot. They're putting a lot of effort into this game, and it shows. It plays great. People are coming back to it. This is fantastic, and I think we'll continue playing this game for a longer time. I hope also in 2025 that they will continue to support updates for this game. It's amazing. And yeah, I love it. I will continue playing F-Zero 99, and I hope you too, because we have to show Nintendo that they're on the right track with this. Place number 12. Well, maybe not a surprise to some people, maybe a big surprise to other people. Balatro is actually a really, really good game, even though it looks very simple and maybe it's not so clear what happens. But people who have played it come back to it. It is very, very, very good. It was a real surprise hit. Maybe some people saw it. I also personally saw it on Twitch first. And I realized, wait, what is it? It looks actually pretty cool. And while watching another streamer, I was like calculating the points in my head, and I was like, man, the guy totally misplayed. I can do that better. So I bought the game. I don't know if I could really do it better, but I had the feeling, and this is, I think, what it's all about. You know, you have endless opportunities how to play this game. You're like getting your first hand, you're getting your first joker, you're like, I'm gonna play a high card build with high chips. Then you go into the shop and they're completely different jokers, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm playing now flush with that and upgrade the cards, and you will check out where the shop is guiding you, right? It's not like I want to do that, but instead it's what does the shop offer me? How can I make the most points? And that's such an interesting thing, also with the huge amount of decks that you have with different extras. With all the jokers, there's so much content in this game, even though it looks like it's all the same. This game is highly recommended. I wanted to say it's like a small secret, but it's actually not. I think by now everybody is aware that this game is fantastic, and it really deserves all the praise. It's just great, and I'm curious what they're gonna do with the game, because there's still updates being provided now and then. For example, specifically for the higher difficulties, the selection of modes have been changed. So the shop and the jokers work differently now than on the release. And I read also that the developer is still thinking about changing it again. So it seems that the game is still not at the end of the life cycle, but there will be more updates, there will be more content, and I'm very curious to see how that will go. Well, Balatro, place 12, absolutely deserved. Great, great game. Thanks, by the way, for everybody what is happening in chat. I'm trying to keep up, but yeah, thank you so much. Amazing, thank you all. Let's go to place 11. There we go, our first kinda classic game. This is Super Mario World Return to Dinosaur Land. This is a hack, and this is the only hack that we've ever played that is, in my opinion, precisely caught the idea of Super Mario World. There's a lot of hacks in Super Mario World, hundreds, maybe even thousands, but for me this was the only one that has the same feeling of the levels, the same feeling of the speed, of the pacing, of the objects, of the jumps. This really feels like the original Super Mario World, but with new levels. And the new levels that have like a tiny bit more to them than the originals. So while in the original, there's a lot of things that you can use, but you don't have to, like the spin jump, like flying skills, like special Yoshi skills, like walking over certain obstacles like the spikes. This hack is sometimes requesting you to do it, but before it does, it will give you an info box, like here on the screen, and tell you how it functions. So just like the original Super Mario World, it gives you the introduction on how the mechanics work, and then it's asking you to simply execute it in an easy and straightforward way. So this game is, in my opinion, close to the original Super Mario World, because the levels are really well done, and the pacing, the jumps, everything feels like the original game. Everybody who likes Super Mario World should really check out this exact hack. So far for me, it's the only hack that I would recommend to anyone who likes Super Mario World and is not like interested in having Super Mario World taken to a different game, to a different principle, different gameplay. You know, if you like Super Mario World to be exactly Super Mario World, give this hack a chance. In my opinion, it's just great. I loved it. From 11, we go to place number 10. On number 10, we have another lovely game, Enter the Gungeon. Not the newest game, but a really, really fun game. I feel like I could boot this game up like every day, make like 1, 2, 5, whatever runs, until I finally run out of luck and die, because this game is really, really difficult and I'm not playing it consistently enough to get really good at it. And this is, I think, what you have to do. You should play this game like regularly, at least in the beginning, until you get a groove in it. There's a lot of things you have to learn, you know, like secrets and stuff, or combinations. I'll come to that later. And I think the more you play, the more you understand about it. So what is this? This is a roguelike, or I think you can technically say it's a roguelite, because during a run that you do, you can unlock weapons or things or items that you find next time if you play a new run on it. But what happens is also this game has permanent death, so you start in level 1, you play as far as you can, you might finish in level 5 and beat the game, or if you die earlier, you're getting reset to the beginning. That's how roguelikes work. It's a difficult game for that. You don't have much health, you can see it, I think, up there in the corner with 3 hearts and an extra. So yeah, you have to play a little bit to get good at it, but it's so worth it. This game is a lot of fun. It has many characters that you can unlock and play that all play very differently. There is 5 big levels that get progressively bigger, and all of them are randomly generated. That means every time you start a run, you start playing, everything looks a little different, everything plays a little different, the enemies are a little bit different. And if that's not enough for you, every level has a additional secret level. So that means you can up the level count up to 10, but you don't have to. You know, you can always decide if you go straight to the next level or go to the secret level if you fulfill the conditions. And at the end of each level, you will find this. You will find a boss that is really tough to beat, that has a lot of health and crazy attacks. So, well, you gotta get good in this game. You can see it's a twin stick shooter. So it's a bullet hell game. You have to dodge a lot of projectiles. You can not just you know, dance around, but you can also use a dodge roll that gives you a few iframes, and that's basically how you have to make sure that you're getting hit as little as possible. There's even, I think, a bonus if you beat a boss without getting hit once. Get like a big extra, which is something you really want to get. So it's really about playing more, getting better. There's so many secrets in the game. There is so much content. There's like hundreds of weapons and items in this game, and that's not enough, but there's so many synergies, and that's, I think, one of the special things in this game. So if you pick up a weapon, and if you pick up a second weapon or an item or something, there's a chance that there's a synergy between those weapons. So that means those two weapons have like something that makes them combine each other, and then the weapons get like much stronger together. So if you fire like a shotgun and you pick up something else, then maybe the shotgun has a synergy, and now the shotgun shoots additionally a laser or reloads quicker or has a bigger magazine. There is endless combination. There's also items where you can produce those synergies yourself if they don't exist, or combine weapon powers and bullets together. This game is really crazy with so many combinations and weapons and everything. The controls, of course, are fantastic, right? It plays really well. It's just that the game tries to kill you off from the beginning, and you really have to learn how to deal with that in the best way. So yeah, if you pick it up, don't be discouraged. This is a very difficult game, but it's also a very fun game, and it's totally worth it if they get into it. There is endless fun hidden in the game, so you can play this forever. So much content. So yeah, I highly recommend checking this out. This is a really fun game. We played a few runs this year, and probably will play a few runs in the future. It's just what can I say? It's too much fun. It's a great game. All right, place number 9. Number 9. One of the probably most fun streams we had in the last year was Seek the Discrepancy, another Super Mario World hack. A absolutely amazing game, but completely different. This doesn't have so much to do with your regular Super Mario World. I mean, you have to jump a little bit here and a little bit there and so on, but it's very different. The idea of the game is 1 out of the 3 things is not the same. 2 are the same, but 1 is not. Which one is the one that is not the same? It sounds very simple, but it's a brilliant puzzle game. You have to start digging into all kinds of differences. At the beginning, you're like, hey, this is a different color. Easy. Well, it's not going to stay that easy. The game has so many different aspects of what can change in one of those pictures that you'll be amazed what you will find later. And once you're at the end, you're not even at the end. There is a true ending that's really difficult to get, that basically takes the whole hack again from start to finish into consideration, not just one or two or three pictures. No, you have to go basically through the whole hack again, understand all the difference and the dependencies. We had tons of fun with this. Everybody loved it. Chad was puzzling with me. It was super cool. And I think we're going to replay that. It's one of those games where we have to hope that we can forget as fast as possible what we did so we can replay it like freshly. We had a few days of discussion about Outer Wilds where everybody wants to forget what actually happened so you can replay it. I think with this game, because it's a little more obscure, I think people will start forgetting, and maybe next year or so we can replay it and we're gonna have again a lot of fun. This is really one of the best puzzle games I've ever played, and also highly recommended. It's a Super Mario World hack, but really don't get too much drawn to the Super Mario World. It's just a great hack and a great game. All right. We are going to place number 8. Well, maybe surprising to some of you, maybe surprising to all of you. Place number 8 is nothing else than GoldenEye, and we were playing a lot the Switch version, which is a port from the original N64, but with higher resolution, higher frame rate. Apart from that, mostly the same game. And what can I say? It plays really well. It's a super fun game. I think it's also one of the things where Nintendo just did the best they could. It's a game that people loved in the past, and they have kept what is fun. The soundtrack is so good. The missions are quick and fast paced. There's a lot of action going on. It's just a blast to play. You only have to play like 1-2 minutes and you'll get instantly drawn into this game, and it's so hard to put it down. You just want to go back and again and again and again. And it starts off easy, right? You're starting to play as on the first difficulty. You blaze through the levels, you shoot a lot, there's a lot of armor, so you have enough health, and you'll finish the game pretty quickly. But after a while, you realize when you select the more difficult or the higher difficulty, then you realize, wait a minute, that mission is now different because there will be additional objectives placed that you have to fulfill. So it's not just that the enemies are more difficult. No, the mission plays entirely different. And that's what makes the replayability so amazing. You think you know this game after the first playthrough, you ramp up the difficulty, and again, you don't know this game. You will find places in the levels that you've never been before, things that you've never seen. You really have to dig deeper and deeper. So all 3 difficulty levels have different objectives, with the highest, of course, has the most, and it really changes the playthroughs up. And I think if you want to finish the game on the highest difficulty on 00 Agent, it will take you some time. It's pretty difficult. So have a lot of fun. Get this game. It's really good. It's included in the N64 emulation on the Switch. So if you have the N64 emulator, I think it's on the expansion pack. You get this game and it's totally worth it. It's so much fun. All right, we're going to top 7 best games. Number 7. There's a little bit of an issue here. Oops. I think this is actually a small mistake here. So we have Super Metroid Ascent, a really cool hack that we played a few months ago. It is interestingly very difficult, very different from the original Super Metroid. So, I mean, you're still playing Samus, you're still shooting missiles, all right. But all the levels are very big and they have a vertical component. Due to the story that says that you're basically starting in the depths in a laboratory, and then due to whatever reason, an explosion, the lava starts rising, and you have to escape the planet as fast as possible. So it's not about like in the original Metroid where you start going down and then you go like up, down, left, right, all directions because you want to see everything. You're basically starting the game at the bottom and you have to work your way up quickly enough so you're basically not drowning. Now, it's not really real time with the drowning, but you're going through three big areas, and once you leave one area, it's sealed off because the lava caught up to you. So you have to go through these three giant biomes. They are much bigger than the original Metroid maps, and there is tons of things to find out. There is also new mechanics involved that are a lot of fun. For example, this Shine Spark has now a improved control that lets you change directions while you shine sparking. It's a very cool thing. I've never seen this before. Maybe other hacks have that. I don't know. I haven't seen it before. I had a lot of fun with that. It's a really cool mechanic. So this game is really, really good. Now, if you have played Super Metroid, you might want to be sure that you're ready for this. The difficulty, I would say, is a tiny bit higher than Super Metroid, but most of the game is not so difficult, only towards the very end when you encounter, surprise, some Metroids. The game is actually getting difficult, but that is really in the last, I don't know, 10% of the game. The rest is actually very similar to the original. So if you already played Super Metroid, you're playing this, you know how Super Metroid works. The longer you play, the better you get. So I recommend checking this out. It's a really good hack, and based off, of course, a fantastic game. So yeah, Super Metroid Ascend, great hack and big recommendation. Now we go to the game number 6. What a surprise, maybe somebody has seen it before. Number 6 of 2024 is nothing else than Super Mario 64. What a fantastic game. I think most people who played it back in the day know instantly what I'm talking about. This is a game that is not easy, so newcomers might be a little frustrated or might be surprised by the difficulty, but this is a lot of fun. You start the game, the music kicks in, right? You have the level selection, which is the very classical castle, which is one of the coolest things they invented, I think, in the Super Mario franchise. And then you select wherever you want to go. Well, at the beginning you have not much selection, but very quickly the castle opens up, and then you're just having a blast. Since you also don't have to get all the stars, you can really select what you want, right? You can select, you like the snow level, well, you play the snow level. You want to play a water level, you play the water level. There is enough freedom for you. You can really pick what you want, and it still shows. I don't know. It's a very fun game. I would yeah, recommend people checking out. Probably most people already have played it. So for them, I can only say my view hasn't changed. I liked this game in the past. I liked this game when it was new, when it was really revolutionary as one of the first 3D platformers in the world that was released on the N64. And all these years later, it shows why it was such a blast back in the day. Because the game was just very well made. Even though it was one of the first, it was very refined already. There are some, let's say, smaller issues maybe due to, let's say, camera work can be a little frustrating. The camera is sometimes not freely available and you can't turn it, which you have to get used to. It's in some cases a static camera. Or another thing is some areas have a lot of death planes, so you have to be careful. So the difficulty is high. But really, that should not stop you. Just play, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with that. It's a great game. All right, we're going to the higher categories. So number 5. Now, these are really the top games. Number 5 is, yeah, I would make like a small cut here. These were all very good games, but the top 5 is really exceptional. Number 5, we're having Signalis, a not so well-known game for how it should be. Signalis is a fantastic game. It reminds very much of the original Resident Evil 1, where the camera is mostly static. It moves a little bit, but not much. It features it is a survival horror game. It features an inventory, just like in Resident Evil, puzzles that you have to, you know, think a little bit about it, maybe use an item or two, or sort something. The typical thing you know from Resident Evil, but well adapted to your year 2024. That means you don't easily think like in Resident Evil, this is just use item, done. I don't have to think. No, in Signalis, you have to actually have to think sometimes for a minute or so. What is expected? What do I have to tune? What is expected of me? And what do I have to put in? Or what do I have to change? It's well adapted. The puzzles are not difficult, but they're also not as trivial as in Resident Evil. I think they put it perfectly in the middle. And that's just one part, right? The most part is that you're walking around, you're trying to survive against those, well, I don't want to spoil anything, against the enemies. You have a multitude of weapons, and there's also a lot of health kits in different categories. You are going down a complex, and it's very unclear what the target is. Also, the way how the game is set up is very interesting. The story is not straightforward. It's not going from the beginning to the end. It's a little bit confusing. Maybe I would say even the story is one of the weaker points because it's so complicated to understand and it's not clear at times. For sure, in the beginning of the game, you have no clue about the story and it slowly unfolds. Not everything unfolds though, so you might have to read a little up if you're interested. But honestly, even if this game had zero story, it would still be an amazing game because it plays so well. The gameplay is fantastic and is exactly what we expect from a survival horror game. Doesn't matter if it's the original Resident Evil 1 a long time ago or it's a newer one like Dead Space. This one is like all the best of the survival horror and it's highly recommended. It's a fantastic game. Everybody who likes survival horror should play this. All right, we're going to number 4. Number 4 is Super Mario 3D World. In my opinion, one of the best Mario games ever made, and also one of the most unusual Mario games that have ever been made. There's only Super Mario Land 3D or 3D Land that is similar to this game. All the other Mario games are different. This is the perfect combination of 2D Mario and 3D Mario. Because we all say like, come on, it's a 3D Mario game, they're all the same. They're actually not all the same. If you compare the 3D Mario games, there are big differences in between them. So when we look at one of the first, which is Super Mario 64 that was earlier in the list, we understand that the camera was not always, changing. There were a lot of elements where the camera was static. And also, if you could move the camera, you could not freely move the camera, but the camera was actually just turning in, I think in 45-degree angles. So it was still a little static. This game is doing the same thing. You can turn the camera only in 45-degree angles. And that makes the game in a way that you often, like in a 2D Mario game, you press basically just right, to get through the level. Just like in a 2D Mario game, in Super Mario World, in Super Mario Bros., you press right to get through the level. So this game is trying to emulate these old levels where you press right, but adds a third dimension, so you can also evade the enemies forwards and backwards and not just left and right. It's a very unique combination. I like it a lot. It's at the beginning very difficult because they expect that you master the third dimension as well as you master in regular Mario games, in 2D Mario games, the 2 dimensions. So if you want to have success in the old Mario games, you have to know how to precisely jump, left or right. And here you have to know how to precisely jump left, right, and forward and back. So at the beginning, it's, I think, much more difficult than the regular Mario games. But they give you tons of content. They are like endless levels. The special worlds are gigantic. This is, I think, 4 special worlds. There's so much content in this game. I love this game, and I think it's really one of the best Mario games that's ever been made. Doesn't mean that other Mario games are not good. If you have, for example, Odyssey, which is also a great 3D Mario, but there again, it's more different. It's more like an over-the-shoulder camera, which is freely available. So it's more like an adventure and doesn't play like the classic. It's not a problem. It doesn't mean Odyssey plays bad. It's just that this game really tries to combine the old classics with a new system, and it's very unique, and I like it a lot. I highly recommend that game. All right, that was place number 4. We're going to the top 3. It's getting hot up here now. Number 3. Tunic. A surprise game that I didn't know about. I was introduced it from you viewers, and I was like, wait, what is this game? What do I have to do? And it turned out to be one of the best games, I would say, in general. It is a puzzle game that is at the same time very demanding in the combat. So it's difficult puzzling with difficult combat together, but both work super well. And it's not the typical puzzle with, here are 15 pieces, bring them in the right order. We're talking earlier about Signalis, where I said, this is very well in the middle with the puzzles. You have to think like for 30 seconds or a minute and you know the answer. Now, this is the obscure one. This is like Fez. This is like the one where you're sitting like 10 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Maybe when you're already closed the game and you're cooking something or you're under the shower, you're like suddenly, I think I have to wait. And then you're slowly figuring things out, maybe in days. So there is a lot of puzzle. There's a lot of combat. It's a great game. It resolves about this world that is not much explained to you, but that makes it, in my opinion, even more interesting. So the whole storytelling in this game is done without any dialogue. This is, I think, what makes this game even greater and into a masterpiece. I think a lot of developers nowadays could learn from this game, because you don't need a long dialogue to explain an interesting or thrilling story. What you need is, you need to find a good way how to show it to the player. And this is a very good play, because in this game, you're not getting interrupted. The game is not halting you all the time, is setting a breakpoint and saying, hey, I have to explain you now 5 minutes something. This game is letting you go. It's showing you hints, it's showing you things. You will, take a break whenever you want, look in the book that you already saw in the screen, and you define for yourself when you want to stop, when you want to know something, when you want to check something. The game is just giving you all the freedom. And this is, I think, what in a lot of nowadays games is really missing. So I'm very happy that I played this. And I don't know, I would like to talk more about the game, but I would be a little afraid that I'm going to spoil anything, because due to the nature of these puzzles being so difficult and so unexplained, I would say it's important that you go into the game rather without knowing too much. So don't ask people really what to do at the start. Like, there's some games where people ask like, what should I do first or something? Just play it. It's great. If you like tough combat, if you like puzzles, give it a go. It's a great game. And don't get discouraged. The game is difficult. If you die, you die. It's not a problem. It's really not an issue. Everybody dies in this game. I died in this game, and certainly everybody who played it before me. So just go for it. It's great. All right, and there we're coming to number 2 and number 1. Honestly, number 2 and number 1 took me a long time to figure out, because I both love deeply those games. Number 2 and number 1 I had several times shuffled up and down. It is so close between number 2 and number 1. So yeah, I changed it a few times. Even today I changed again number 1 and number 2, but I have to admit I have a reasoning now and I can explain it. So let's go for number 2. Best game of the year, number 2 was the System Shock Remaster. What a awesome game. This was one of the games that from the start I loved that game. There was like instant love and it never stopped. This game was just close to perfect, and I recommend everybody who is like a retro gamer, who played games back in the day and who enjoys games from back in the day, to play this, because this is how gaming started. This is a real fresh wind from back in the day that is still a fresh wind nowadays, because games like that are not made so often. There is it's difficult to explain, but there is so much going on that you don't see in other games. You're put in a space station by yourself. There is no mission objective. What do you have to do? Nobody knows. You have to figure out what you have to do. You have to start reading people's logs. You have to start reading people's notes. You have to listen to what's happening on the station and start understanding what the problem is and how the problem could be fixed. By that, you're finding a lot of weapons, you're finding a lot of techniques, you're finding a lot of puzzles that you have to do, and the station starts opening up more and more until it's basically an open world where you can go wherever you want, but since you still don't have an objective, you have to figure out which place at which time is holding the information or the switch or the computer that you actually need. And all of that with cool cyber abilities, with cool weapons, with a lot of shit, with cool enemies. This game is very, very, very good, and it's like a real old school experience. I think this game couldn't have been ported any better, with one exception, and that's the reason why this game is only number 2. There is one thing in this game that I didn't enjoy so much. And it's not those puzzles, because those puzzles were awesome. What I did not enjoy in this game was the cyberspace part. I thought the cyberspace part was in the original from a long time ago. And so I didn't like the cyberspace so much. The rest of the game, I would say, is perfect, but the cyberspace part is kind of more annoying and not very interesting. Also, sometimes the difficulty is very high and you have to reset it. There is no way to save in cyberspace. I didn't like the cyberspace part so much. The rest of the game is phenomenal and very, very fun. This is a really old school experience. I really can't believe that they were so true to the original and were brave enough to say, we're not going to put a map with map markers. We're not going to put a log, do this, do this, do that. We're not going to, spoil everything, but we keep this open nature and ask the player to figure things out. This is one of the only games I think I've played in my life that does it like that, and I hope that more people will try it out and learn how fun it is to figure things out by themselves. All right, this was number 2, so we're now going to number 1 that we played in 2024. Buckle up, everybody. This is the big winner. Well, some people might have already had a guess earlier, because we've been somehow talking about this game lately a lot more, due to the fact that one of my friends was actually playing this game just a few days ago. I think this game comes very close to the perfect game. And it might not be so obvious for people who play 1 level or 2 level or 3 level, but after you finish the game, I think it's pretty clear why this game is so good. Because this game is very different to most other platformers. Also, very different to the platformers that have been there before Mario Wonder or Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I'm always saying Mario Wonder because it's kind of an easier thing to say and shorter. So, if you compare it, for example, with Super Mario World, a game that I love, that I think is fantastic, what is the difference? Well, in Super Mario World, they give you basically certain things. They give you the cape, they give you spin jump, they give you Yoshi. You have like certain mechanics, and those mechanics you transport basically from the beginning to the end. You can do 96 exits, and you will find most of the mechanics reoccurring. There are a few special ones with, towards the end, you have the bullet bills crossing the screen completely, and you have to evade that. There is a few levels where you're like in the clouds or something. Like there's a very few levels that are special, maybe also the ghost houses, But you're basically having the same mechanics and the same rule set for the whole game. And that's the big difference to Wonder. Wonder is like all of the platformer games in one, because most levels just change it up. I mean, in the level. So each level is basically different, and not just different than all the other levels, but also inside the level, there's a change when you take the Wonder Seed. Level does usually, has like the thing, you're bouncing off pads. That's, for example, one gimmick in one level. Well, if you use the Wonder Seed, or if you get the Wonder Seed, then basically you're having a extreme version of that. So the level changes in between. You deactivate the Wonder Seed later, and you're back to normal. And you go to the next level, and you see something completely different that also gets supercharged with the Wonder Seed. So this game is probably one of the best games in Variance, and just a absolutely blast to play. It's super fun, and also in my opinion, the further you play, the better it gets. It gets more difficult over the time, and it also has more interesting levels towards the end. I like that while at the beginning it's just, you know, time it somehow. You have to, in the end, you have to be in levels where they are also kind of rhythm based. So you have to time the jumps and time them to some rhythm or something. It's a great idea. I haven't played something like that before. I can imagine other games too that, like, there are a lot of rhythm games in general, but it's so seamlessly integrated into this platformer. It's just a blast. So it plays super smooth. It has a lot of great ideas. It's just beautiful. I highly recommend it. But wait, there's more. I also want to say that I think Nintendo did something fantastic by adding this kind of multiplayer co-op that you have. So wherever you are, you can put a standee down that you can choose, you know, from your menu. If it looks like you know, you can choose which character you want to put down and how the pose of the character is. But why do you do that? You can see it in the video happening now and then. It means if you're dying in the level, you can jump to the standee of another person. Another person that is currently playing the same level as you, that you can actually see with a silhouette on stream. So why would you put your standee down? Well, it doesn't help you. You can't revive yourself at your own standee. But everybody else can revive on your standee. So basically what Nintendo created, I think, is kind of a connection between the players who are currently playing this game. You know, it's like, I'm putting my standee down because I want this guy next to me to succeed or something. And while we were playing on stream, that was actually a big part. You can also share your power-ups. And I remember in the last level, first I was not sure what to do and I died a few times. And then we had somebody who kept sharing his power-ups and saving me in a spot where I didn't know where to go. And I kept dying. And that person even afterwards appeared in the stream and started talking to us and was happy that he could help out. It was a crazy moment. And it was basically due to this kind of connectivity that Nintendo enabled. It's a great idea how they did it, and I'm very happy they put it in the game. If you play the game, you might not realize at first what it means, but it really changes your view a little bit of the game, that you're not trying to make it to the exit, but you keep a little, you know, a lookout, like at friends, like left and right, that the other people are also doing well. So yeah, this is really such a small thing, but with such a huge impact for me. Really put it to the next level. So Mario Wonder, I think, is the best 2D Mario that has ever been made, and it will be very difficult to beat this game. I'm curious what Nintendo finds afterwards, but this is really, really a very, very special game, and it totally deserves a first place. This one's so good. If you haven't tried it out, you can really not go wrong this game. I would be surprised if somebody plays this game and says, I didn't like it. I would say that's barely possible. But anyways, do it. It's awesome. Thanks, Player, for gifting into the Game of the Year 2024. That is correct. Yes, I got that from Player. Thank you in case you're watching. All right, we have done the first part of the show. Now we're going to the disappointments in 2024. We had a few, but I have to say that generally we played actually an incredible amount of good games. It was not so easy to find the disappointments of 2024. So take this calmly. The games that you will see now, it's a top 3, or actually a low 3. They are not bad games in general, but they were just not as good as the games that we played before. And I will explain also why. Disappointment 3. Yes, some people might have guessed it. We have Echoes of Wisdom here. Why? Yeah, I know a lot of people are enjoying this, and it's not a terrible game, but it's also not a really good game. And I had a lot of discussions now with a lot of people, and I think many people agree on certain topics. So we just talked with Frank a few days ago about the game, and I asked him, "Do you like playing as the Link form?" And he said, "Yes, a lot." And I said, "It's fun, right?" And he said, "Yeah, but that's why they put, a limit so you can't do it so long." But that's my point with the design. If you like playing as Link, why don't they let you do it? Because it's the most fun thing, right? Why didn't they strap the mechanic with all the echoes and all the ideas and the puzzles, not simply onto Link, and made the best of both worlds? These two topics are not exclusive. I think that's the reason why they put the Link form in the game, that you can transform into Link and then beat monsters, because it's a lot of fun. But why exclusive? I don't understand it. Why not have both? I think the game would have worked perfectly, even much, much better, if it would have had simply both things. You would have played, you don't have to play as Link, you can also say you play as Zelda and she's having, I don't know, a magical weapon, that she's wielding, and then you have like similar combat as you have usually in Zelda games. In the end, it also has the Zelda name, so I'm expecting that it's a Zelda game. And you can fight and you can solve the puzzles and you can do the echoes. I think that would have been great. Also, if we play the game, honestly, towards the beginning specifically, when you don't have very strong echoes, the combat is really annoying. You're like spawning an enemy and then you have to sit there and wait until the attack speed finally kicks in and your echo is finally beating the other echo. I felt like it's more like a Pokemon game, right? Where you throw in your animal to do the fighting for you. That's not like Zelda, It's like, keep it fast-paced, keep it action-packed. That's how all the Zelda games are. And specifically because they already made the Link's Awakening remake, it's kind of strange for me. In Link's Awakening, they hit that aspect very well. So they know how to do it. I don't understand how they got the idea that let's not do that. So I understand the puzzling, I understand many things, but I don't understand why... Okay, I'll switch a little down. I don't understand why excluding it so much. Then that's not the only problem. I was also not so happy that from most of the Zelda games, I felt like this is the one that has a lot of dialogue with the least information. I'm not against story in general. I think we had this discussion several times already, but I'm kind of disappointed if we have the same exact dialogue countless times without adding anything new, right? Every time, "How are you, Zelda? How are you, Zelda?" Or, these... It's like this game is explaining you not a story, but it's a situation. When you get the first time into the game, you're arriving, you see there are rifts. Somebody is creating those, and people are duped. And that's like through 90% or 95% of the game, this is unchanged. Exactly the same, but people keep talking about it all the time, and repeating that and just taking away from your game time. In some stream, I think I raised a valid question. If you compare it to Tunic, how would this game work if there would be no dialogue at all? And the majority agreed the game would be better if there would be no dialogue at all, because it wouldn't get you out of the puzzles, out of the fighting. You could stay focused. You could have, you have more playtime, and in the end, you're not missing much. You maybe even add something, because while you're not getting everything explained, the game and the story of the game is more of a mystery. It draws you more in. You're like, I don't know what's happening. I want to find out. I want to play more. I want to see what's happening. While this game explains to you in the first minute basically what happens, and then 95% of the time, or of the game time, nothing changes. So I hope that Nintendo doesn't repeat this. I hope this is a one-time thing and we don't have another game like this, because this is, in my opinion, absolutely the wrong way to go. If you want to know what is the right way to go, the developers of this game really should play Tunic. This is the way to go. It's like, in some ways, so not the difficulty, not the crazy puzzles, you don't need that, but Like not taking the player's hand overly, not stopping him all the time, not removing all kinds of challenges. Man, there are mechanics like you can do the slushies from your fruits, you can make drinks. When do you ever need that? You're never dying anyway. The game is very easy, right? You know, there's like nobody needs that. In the old games, you found like a heart and it was fine. I didn't have to go through 15 menus to mix a slushy that I then drink later. Just give me a heart and I'm fine. In the old games, you also had just a bottle with the fairies. You still have that in this game. I still don't understand why I need the slushies. Yeah, they shield you about electrics and other things, but you really don't need that. If you pay the least bit attention, it's not a problem at all. And the last point, yeah, I'm nitpicking a lot here. There's too much menuing, simply. If you have to often search for echo, for a very specific echo that you need. For example, you're suddenly underwater, you need the shark. Or you're in a cave, you need now the spider. You need a floating platform, you need a cloud. You often have to go through the menu, and the menu is really slow. So, I don't know, there's probably like 10% or 15% of the time is exactly that. Going through the menu, trying to find what you're looking for. Even there are some side quests that are only menuing. I found in the town one quest that was just, please create 3 specific echoes for me. So I had to go like through the list for the first echo to find it finally. And it was also obscure echoes that I'm never using. So I had to look that for a long time. Then I did that. Then, oh yeah, but now I see another one. Then we had to go for that for a time. And so on. So it was a long time just for nothing. I really wish they could make, for example, 2 layers of rows or 3, you know, like a 2-dimensional grid. If you make 1 line, the line's going to be endless. Why not make it in 2 or 3 lines at the same time? You know, you like a grid. You would be so much faster. I'm surprised that they shipped it like that and nobody was like, wait a minute, we have to improve that. I'm surprised, but it is what it is. It was an experiment, I think. I hope they don't return to that experiment. I was not a super fan of that game. And now we go to number 2. Second most disappointing game, and it's basically the game's own fault. This year we played Nocturne on Halloween as a classical survival horror game, and boy, it had high highs, but it had also really low lows. Basically, the game is put in 4 different episodes. The first one is like a Dracula castle, I think in Germany. The second one is like a Wild West city with evil forces. The third one is, I think, Chicago with a mafia army, with a zombie army of Al Capone, of the mafia. And the fourth one is like a obscure house where one guy is like doing evil things. So it sounds great. It has interesting story. Actually, I think all of the chapters start with a long cutscene, with a long briefing, who the characters. Then you can ask your colleagues what's going on. They will give some background. Very interesting to play. But it turns out not all episodes are the same. The first one is good and was fun, even though we were hung up by a very small pathway that we had to go to. The second one, as you can see here, was amazing. It was super fun to play, really, really fun. And then the third episode started to be suddenly crap. And that was so sad, because if the first episode and the second episode are so good, I was hyped of playing the third. But the third was crap. The third put you in like a giant open world city in Chicago, and you didn't know where to go. They told you, go to the back of the pet shop. Well, where's the pet shop? There was no explanation. We were running forever around. It took a long time to find the pet shop, because you also had to go to the back entrance. There was a lot of tiny alleys between everywhere. It took forever. Once we found it, they told us, okay, now you have to go back to the theater. And what happened? We went back to the theater, and there was nothing. Why? Because you actually had to go to another guy, not to the theater. It was actually a red herring. It took us again a long time to find out what is happening. It made absolutely no sense. Then you went inside the theater later the game became actually really good. It was super fun inside the theater. It was great. But then you get out of the theater, we got into this strange zombie factory of Al Capone, and we had to shoot the pipe. Dev is correct. We had to shoot the pipe. That was a absolutely obscurity. That was a stupid thing. That didn't make any sense, but thanks to Dev, we found it out. But then guess what? The fourth episode was even worse. In the fourth episode, you're getting put in a house that is filled with traps and you don't get any weapon unless you deactivate a secret combination of things that is nowhere explained. Then you get a good starting weapon, which we found out at the very end of the chapter. But you have no weapon. Everything is full of traps. There is no, it's not clear where to go. There are 100 strange key puzzles where you have to use this thing there, turn that around. Eventually we had to find a book in a cupboard that was bugged. I tried to get the book out for I don't know how long, 20 minutes, didn't work. We had to restart the level, took the book out. After the restart it worked. So this game really was like ramping up the hype until episode 3 and then whoop, destroyed itself. I still think episode 2 is really fun to play. I would recommend people checking out episode 2 only, or maybe also episode 1, but boy, this game is really sabotaging itself. I felt like maybe they ran out of development time, you know, they made 1 and 2 really good, then 3 maybe, and then 4 just some crap. So I don't know what it is, but I'm, yeah, I was really disappointed by this game. And it's kind of sad because it's really promising, has cool characters, cool story, lots of content. But yeah, I guess they shipped it too early. They should have polished it a little bit more to make it into a really good game. Well, okay, and now we're going to what is basically the most disappointing game of the year 2024. Again, it is a disappointment, but we also played mostly good games. So most disappointing game this year is Nintendo World Championships. Yes! So Nintendo did amazing retro things with F-Zero 99, and here it did basically the opposite. We played a lot of this game, we got all the S ranks in this game, and you can have a lot of fun with this game, but there is many times when you ask yourself just, why? Why Nintendo? So, first off, this is a game that has a lot of speedrunning challenges in retro games, right? You have all the classics there. You have Zelda, Zelda 2, you have SMB 1, 2, Japan and US, you have SMB 3, you have all the cool games there, and you have to do challenges that are very simple and very short, up to games that is very difficult and long. So for example, in Zelda in Zelda 2, you just have to get one fairy that is in your screen. That jump takes like 3 seconds, or even less. I think you can do it in 2 or 1.5. And towards the end, there's also a challenge where you have to go through a full palace, so that takes very long. So you have different kind of content, all good. What is the problem? Well, you're supposed to compete, and you're supposed to compete worldwide. But how about you just compete with your friends? Well, you can do that, says Nintendo, because there is a split screen option. But why is there a split screen option? Who's playing split screen nowadays? Why is there no online option? Why is there no option where I can start a lobby, then my friends join, then we select some challenges, and then we play it together? I don't get it. That doesn't make any sense, right? They released F-Zero 99 where you can play with 98 other players, but then here, nothing. Doesn't make any sense. Then you have a mode where you have weekly challenges where you play together against other players. It's not real time, you're playing against their recordings, but still, when it's there, why not with your friends? It would make so much sense. Even if you can't play live with your friends, you know, because of the, whatever, internet connection, keeping it in sync, they could also make it like a recorded run, right? Everybody plays the challenge, then all the challenge runs of every player are put next to each other and you're watching them together, and while you're watching them you find out who has actually won. Would be very easy to make. I don't understand why they didn't include this. They were even so, I gotta say it, lazy that they didn't even put friends leaderboards. Come on! Friends leaderboards are usually a thing even in the cheapest indie games on Steam. This game does not feature friends leaderboards. Why can I not see how fast my friend did this challenge or this challenge? It would be so interesting. What happened is, when we played the game, we talked to people and people started exchanging the times on Discord. Why do we have to use in a game from 2024 Discord to exchange how fast we did a challenge in a game and there's not a friends leaderboard? I really don't understand that. I think it should have been in there, and this is really the minimum to make the game. I'm not saying this is the best way. I'm saying this is the easiest way. It would have been a low-hanging fruit to add something like this. Apart from that, they could have made the game much bigger. You know, like they do it with F-Zero 99 Come Back. Why not do every 1 or 2 months a new challenge that you download in an update, and then there's a new challenge. People come back. Longevity is there, you know, people like, oh man, new challenge, I want to beat this. Hey, maybe from one of my favorite games, maybe it's Zelda 1, Zelda 2, SMB 1. People will come back to the game, play it more, try out the challenges, because most people play the challenges and then they just put the cartridge in the cupboard and never touch it again. If they made new challenges, people would come back to it. So I don't understand. This seems to be something that Nintendo did like as a micro side project that had like no attention, you know, and they were done somehow and now they forget about it. I don't understand it. I even think that the multiplayer aspect of playing those games simultaneously is probably somewhere at Nintendo available because of Super Mario 35, right? On the 35th anniversary of Mario, there was this Super Mario 35 where you played SMB1 in parallel with 35 other players. If another player killed an enemy, that enemy was transferred to one of your screens. So this synchronicity was the game was running in sync already in Super Mario Bros. 35. There was a multiplayer aspect. I think this could have been done also in this game. The technology should be available at Nintendo, but it was not there. Yeah, I don't know. I had fun with the game. It was fun to play, but it had potential to be amazing. And I think Nintendo really delivered just the minimum. And that was sad. I expected more from the game, and I think I'm not alone. A lot of people, I would be surprised if anyone was okay with the fact that there is no friends leaderboards. That's also what most people said once we talked to them. When we connected to streamers, you know, they rated or we rated, usually the first thing was like, yeah, there's no friends leaderboard, that's really weird. So, yeah. I hope if they consider making another one, because the official term of the game is Nintendo World Championships, double point, NES edition. So it sounds like there could be a Super Nintendo edition as well in the future. If they do a Super Nintendo edition, I would request that they make more than that. This was not enough. They have to step up. Alright, this was the disappointments of 2024 category. We have 2 or 3 more categories left. So the show is not over. So we'll move on. And we'll see. The next one is Best AI Clips of 2024. So we're gonna watch something together now. Alright. The number 3 of the best AI clips this year was Ribeye, I think introduced by All Day. Let's go. In the vacation.
All Day 180 asked me, Ribeye? Ah, the power croissant of steaks is like the Link of the steak world. Juicy, flavorful, and ready to take on any dinner plate dungeon. Just make sure you don't pull a Mr. Brothers and overcook it, or it might not be the legendary meal you were hoping for.
Yeah, the ribeye. Oh, I'm still happy that there wasn't even a question attached for the input was just ribeye, and the AI came up with that.
Very nice.
That was a great clip. I enjoyed that a lot. Okay, let's go to place number 2. Best AI in 2024. Just a second. Okay. Okay, here it is. No, sorry.
Bearded Mana asked me, why is sand sus? Well, sand does seem a bit suspicious, don't you think? It's everywhere. Gets into everything. And no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to get rid of it. Plus, it's always shifting and changing. Like it's hiding something beneath its surface. Maybe it's plotting to take over our shoes and conquer the beaches, one grain at a time. Can't trust those tiny particles.
I was very happy about this because basically Mana, I felt like, no offense Mana, you threw a random question at the AI and the AI actually made a real story out of that. So what kind of different aspects are sus? Yeah, I like that clip a lot. I thought that was a really fun clip. Okay, and one grain at a time. Yeah, it all made sense, right? And also it's shifting. You can't see what's under the surface. There could be something hidden. It all made sense. Okay, and number 1, I guess everybody who remembers the clip probably knows what I'm talking about. Number 1 is Darth Streamius. It was, yeah, I guess the best clip, and also it basically inspired, yeah, a new character on the stream that we have to definitively bring back in 2025. So let's listen to the clip.
All Day 180 asked me, if Inter was a Sith Lord, what would his name be and what powers would he have? If Der Internetzer were a Sith Lord, how delightfully amusing. Perhaps a name like Darth Streamius, embodying the relentless flow of digital content and the insatiable thirst for views. As for powers, they'd wield the ability to manipulate bandwidth and latency, causing their enemies' streams to buffer at the most inopportune moments. Imagine the chaos. But beware, for such power comes with the burden of eternal watches, bound to the fickle tides of internet fame. How poetic, don't you think?
I will never get over the idea that I can, Darth Streamius is able to make other streamers stream buffer in the most inopportune moments. That's fantastic. What a superpower. Genius, really. That was the best AI clip for sure in 2024, and also proved that it was amazing to have this. It's so much fun. It's really enriching the stream having this. I'm very happy we have that, and I'm already looking forward what we find in 2025. Thanks for everybody who's using the AI and asking funny things, because not all answers are of course perfect. There's also hit and miss, but sometimes the AI hits it perfectly. So thanks for that. All right, and now we go to the regular clip selection. We go to the top 3. So this is number 3. Number 3 is Easy. It's from Fall Guys. It was a community day on Tuesday, and let's just roll it. Oh.
Easy. Easy.
Yep. Well, it was a great Tuesday, and it was a great clip, and it was a great moment. Can't say enough how much I enjoy the Tuesdays. I'm so happy that people keep tuning in and we're playing games together. It's really strengthening a community, and it's always fun having you guys in here. So that was place 3. Let's go for place number 2. Place number 2 is Indy Uses the Force from Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. I think, again, that we also have to come back to. We didn't finish the game completely. Also a very funny scene. Let's roll the clip. No, I wanted to do that. Yeah, and that enemy disappeared in the middle of nowhere forever. All right, that's a fun game. We have to come back to that. And again, also maybe not a surprise for some of you. I guess for people who have been around here for a while, they can maybe imagine what's going to be clip number 1 of 2024. Clip of 2024 is KO Wood. A clip that has been repeatedly played on the stream many times, and we have talked about it many times, and it has really risen our competitive nature on the stream. Since then, I feel we are racing so much harder in not only F-Zero but also Mario Kart since this clip. So let's roll it and have a lot of fun at someone else's expense. Let's go. Oh my god, I killed Colwood? Are you kidding me? I wasn't even aiming for that. How did that happen? I got another KO. What the fuck? Colwood, I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was doing. I have no idea how that happened. Oh shit. Maybe I'm also gonna die now. Alright, alright. Well, thanks Colwood for this cooperation. For this clip. You were not sorry, it seems. The mood is depending now and then over the time. At the time, I was very sorry, but it seems kind of it changed, We kind of were okay with it, and it just added to the competitive nature eventually, so we're fine. Yeah, that was the clip of 2024. Also, a clip on the Community Tuesday. Just gonna have to double down and say, it's so great having the Tuesday still active. Having people play together, it's always the best. So thanks so much for that. All right, those were many categories, and there's only one more thing left to say. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Category again this year, Best Community. And the winner is you, back-to-back champion. We have definitely the best people here, and we are gaining more of them. It's not just that we always had the best people or there are a limited amount of bad people, but no, there are more of them. We find now and then another one. We connected this year also with Killer Pixel. It feels like it was 2 lifetimes ago, but no, it was in 2024. We found a lot of cool people there. We connected. Then later in the year, we connected with Dan, also a super member of our community, a streamer and viewer, guy that just went on board full in, didn't hold back, and we love him. And later on, we connected with another community. We connected with Spec and Sushi and others there in the group. Also so cool. It feels really like we're building the best community on Twitch, and it's so much fun hanging out with people. They're funny. They hang also out in Discord, making jokes. You hang out in this stream or that stream. I'm really happy with everybody that we found. And it keeps growing and growing. It just keeps growing. So I'm happy. I'm really sometimes hanging in other channels and thinking eventually I should stream, but actually it's fun hanging in other streams as well. So sometimes a little bit in the way, but what can you do? There's so many friendly people here. The chain rating, yeah, that's something maybe we'll focus more in 2025 and 26 then. Maybe we have at some point a community that's so big that we can chain rate 24 hours per day, as soon as one of us is stopping, another one is continuing, and then that person is stopping, and the next one is starting. And we just go 24/7. This is the long-term goal of our community, I think, yeah. Okay. Twitch crews, yeah, there's this feature, right? How is it called? Like this membership group. I don't know, but somebody has to raise partner, I guess, for that. Well, eventually, maybe. Who knows? All right. Yeah, thank you so much for everybody who's been here. Every single viewer always counts, right? For multiple reasons, everybody who's here usually says hello and betters the mood. We have anyway a good mood, I think, usually in the stream, at least for the moments when I'm not just raging. And also, every viewer that's here bumps up the stream a little bit more in the charts, so it's possible that other cool people can find us, right? So it's very important that we have viewers, and we have them. I'm so happy about it. Also, every bit and every subscription and every alarm that is being thrown in is very nice. We're using the money to buy new games, and like last year, I think you guys raised the money basically for Echoes of Wisdom. So we played that on stream. We even made a poll first. Should we play the game on stream? You said yes, and we paid for it for what we got in the year. So very happy about that. Thank you so much, everybody. And yeah, there's a lot to do in the next year. Well, also thank you, Padouts, man, for the 69. Yeah, what do we do in 2025? Well, we have, as usual, we have like an endless, ginormous backlog. That's not just, Metal Gear Solid 5, and we said, want to play System Shock 2 and the Deus Ex games. No, that's, we want to do that, but there's also so many other things. I think we want to go through the Doom series. I already announced that. I was thinking if we maybe do something like a wheel, that we can spin and then find a game. People can also then guess the games. I'll make some hints. So I have some new ideas that I will implement, and then it will also be a little bit more interactive then. Yeah, there's a lot to do. I already feel like the year is not big enough for what we want to play. So many games. So yeah, I hope to see you all again. This has been super fun. This is now the second Inters that we host. I also want to do, of course, the next year's Inters, because I feel like it's a great show and we're always connecting about it. And there's like a 2 weeks discussion about why I was wrong and why all these games don't belong to the places that they got. So yeah, what can I say? We'll continue like that. I'm happy with you. If you have, as usual, an improvement or something, tell me in the stream, or in Discord, whatever. I'm really open for any kind of constructive feedback. It might then take a while to implement it. I'm not the fastest usually. I have a lot of things to do, but just like Dev did it well. Dev told me around 378 times we have to do words on stream, and it happened already. So pretty quickly. All right. Mentioned MGS. DG maybe in. I don't know. I haven't seen him. It would be nice to see him again. Let's see. Okay, this has been the Inters. Thank you so much for everybody. And yeah, that's been it. I'll see you latest in a year when we talk about what we played in 2025. Thank you, everybody.